I saved for months to buy my daughter a $2,000 laptop. Then my sister's kids burned it as my parents laughed. It started with smoke, thin, acrid, rising from the garden like a warning no one else could smell. I was at the kitchen window when I saw it. Plastic curling, screen melting, that awful chemical hiss as circuits died. My daughter's laptop, her dream, her reward, her world, turned to ash in the hands of my sister's sons. They watched it burn like it was a campfire. Their laughter punched through the air. My parents sat nearby, teacups in hand, amused. And then I heard it. My sister's voice, low, smirking. Maybe this'll teach her. Teach her what, I wondered? To dream? To want what we never had? To be better than the rest of them? I felt my pulse slow. My body went still. Rage has no sound. It hums, cold and methodical, somewhere behind the ribs. I didn't move. I didn't shout. I simply watched. And I smiled, because people only see what they expect to see. That laptop had taken me 6 months of extra shifts. I'd counted every bill twice, saving quietly so my daughter wouldn't know until I placed it in her hands. I remember the way her fingers trembled when she touched it. The light in her eyes when she said, "You believe in me." Now it was gone, burned for entertainment. My parents hadn't even flinched. My father called it kids being kids. My mother said she shouldn't have flaunted it. I realized then it wasn't just the laptop, it was her. They hated that my daughter had something they didn't control, that she shined without their permission. And that's when the quiet part of me woke up, the part that keeps score. At dinner, my sister bragged about how accidents happen. She smiled. I smiled back. "It's fine," I said. "Maybe she'll learn something from it." Her laugh was too loud, too proud. "Exactly," I nodded, slowly, because I had learned something too. The next few weeks, I became invisible. That's the trick. Don't react, don't warn, just listen. My sister called my parents daily. She thought I didn't know. I heard the whispers through thin walls, the laughter over tea. They spoke of me like I was an outsider, too proud, too distant, too different. But what they didn't know was that I had already started my quiet work. I went through my father's old documents, his assets, the trust, the property papers he swore didn't exist. I knew where everything was kept. He had taught me to organize them years ago. Mistake. My sister's name appeared everywhere. My parents' signatures, my exclusion. They had planned it long before the fire, to cut me out, to make sure my daughter inherited nothing, to erase the one branch that didn't bend. That laptop wasn't an act of cruelty. It was a message. Stay in your place. I didn't confront them. I observed, calculated. Control is not about emotion. It's about patience. Weeks passed. My daughter used an old borrowed laptop. She smiled through it, but I saw the loss in her eyes. That quiet acceptance children shouldn't have to learn. One night, when she slept, I sat beside her desk. I touched the ashes still faintly clinging to the old case. And I promised she would never need to lower her head for anyone again. Not them, not ever. The evidence came together piece by piece. I found emails, bank drafts, property transfers, all leading to one truth. They had stolen not just from me, but from her. My father had liquidated part of my inheritance to buy my sister's house. My mother had signed as witness. They had built their comfort on our silence. But silence has teeth. I waited for the right moment. It came sooner than expected. My father's birthday. The whole family gathered. Laughter, candles, the usual hypocrisy. My sister's kids ran around the living room like nothing had happened. My parents beamed with pride. I handed him a small folder as his gift. He looked curious. My sister leaned closer. My mother frowned. "What's this?" he asked. I smiled. "Everything you've hidden." He opened it. Inside, copies of transfers, emails, legal documents, and at the very top, an affidavit addressed to the family trust, declaring that all further claims under his name be frozen pending investigation. The room went still. "What have you done?" my sister snapped. "Just returned what's mine," I said softly, "and what was my daughter's." My father's hand trembled. He tried to speak, but words fractured in his throat. My mother whispered, "You wouldn't." I already did. The documents had been submitted the previous week. The lawyer was a quiet man I'd known for years. He owed me a favor. Everything they had shifted to her name, now under review, frozen, legally untouchable until proven rightful, and I had all the proof I needed. My sister rose from her chair, eyes burning. "You're destroying this family." "No," I said, "you did. I'm just letting the world see it." Her voice cracked. My mother wept quietly. My father stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. He should have known better. He'd raised me to survive in shadows. I leaned forward, lowering my voice until only they could hear. "When you burned that laptop, you thought you were teaching my daughter humility. You were teaching me something too." They said nothing. I looked at the ashes in their eyes, the dawning realization that I had been watching, waiting, learning every weakness they thought they'd hidden behind age and authority. "You took everything," I whispered. "Now you can keep it." They didn't understand. Not yet. The next morning, I packed our bags. My daughter asked if we were moving. "Yes," I said, "somewhere quiet, somewhere new." She nodded, trusting me completely. We left before sunrise. The house stood still behind us, 4 walls built on secrets now collapsing under truth. I didn't take revenge. I took peace. That was enough. Weeks later, my sister called. Dozens of missed calls, a few messages. Desperate now. Their accounts were locked. Their lawyer refused to speak until the inquiry was done. My parents' names were flagged for financial misconduct. I never responded. Silence was my reply. People think justice comes with noise, with rage and confrontation. They're wrong. Justice comes with quiet clarity. I didn't destroy them. I simply removed my silence, and they destroyed themselves. Now, every time I see my daughter open her new laptop, the one she bought herself, I remember that night of fire and laughter, and I smile again. Not the same smile as before, colder, quieter, because I finally understand. Some lessons are not taught, they're earned.